Good afternoon. Before we get started, I'd like to welcome District Attorney Joshua Pond and Columbia County Sheriff Brian Pixley, and thank all of you for joining us here for this important announcement. On May 19th, FBI Portland was notified of a detailed and imminent plan for a mass shooting and explosives attack at the Three Rivers Mall in Kelso, Washington. Working with our partners, we immediately began to identify the suspect behind the threat. The subject was identified the next day, May 20th, as a juvenile Columbia County resident. On May 22nd, FBI Portland SWAT made contact with the subject at their residence and handed the property over to a federal search warrant team. Later that day, the subject was arrested by local authorities. I'd like to point out a few facts about this case. The subject had been planning a mass casualty event at the Kelso Mall since early this year. They had very detailed plans, as well as an intent and means to carry out their plan. The plan included a map of the mall, a route the shooter would follow, a plan to use an improvised explosive device known as a chlorine bomb to cause panic and then shoot mall patrons in the mall, as well as those exiting the movie theater, before ultimately committing suicide. The suicide location was also mapped out and planned. The plans included precise details, including annotated schematics, a clear route to follow, weapons to be used, and a wardrobe to wear. An alarming number of indicators of a cogent path to violence were met. At no point in this plan did it appear that the suspect would not follow through. Suspect pledged allegiance to several online nihilistic violent extremist groups and ideologies. So what are the takeaways here? I know we sound repetitive, but if you see something, say something. We were able to prevent this because we were informed of it. This case had all the classic indicators, such as leakage. Those are indicators of alarming behavior that's shared with friends, family, teachers, coaches, and mentors. Checkpoints of pathway to violence. These are indicators that someone not only possesses violent ideation, but has also conceived a mass casualty attack plan, researched and planned how to execute it, and taken overt steps to mobilize toward violence. This case had every indication that it was imminent, and we believe the FBI, along with our partners, prevented a tragic event in our community. Once again, I want to thank our partners with the Columbia County Sheriff's Office, Columbia County District Attorney's Office, Kelso Police Department, Oregon State Police, Oregon Department of Human Services, FBI Seattle, and the United States Attorney's Office. I will be followed by Columbia County Sheriff Brian Pixley.
So really, what I really want to hit on is the partnership that we used to be able to come to a safe conclusion with this case. The escalation happened very quick. But luckily, with partners like the FBI here, we were able to prevent this tragedy.
Well, thank you, and I would just echo the same, really. This was one of those circumstances and situations where so many different people came together and collaborated and coordinated to address the situation. People from different agencies, different levels of government, and different professions, you name it, all came together to work together and rid this situation of its imminence. And it was just a fantastic thing to see, and something that I'm so honored to have gotten to be a part of and happy to have helped in every way I could. It is something as well that I think especially was handled fantastically by the U.S. Attorney's Office, the local FBI, the local law enforcement in our county, as well as at the state level, as well as the juvenile department in Columbia County, and of course the deputy district attorney from my office, who was directly on the ground and working directly with agents and officers at the scene. From every level, from moment one till the end, everyone shared information and shared resources and worked together to address something that was frankly very scary and held a very high potential for harm.
With that, we'll take a few questions.
Was there a reason why you were able to identify maybe why the specific date had been chosen by this person to carry out the attack?
Yeah, I don't know if the date had any significance. The subject posted his attack plans on May 17th. The FBI was notified of that post on May 19th, and then we identified him the next day and took action with our local partners.
Can you tell us his age, and also you said there were intents and means to carry out? Did you seize any weapons?
Yeah, I can go over what was seized. There were 3 firearms seized, multiple boxes of various types of ammunition, 4 knives, and then clothing items that our team confirmed was shared with the group online. There were also some digital devices seized as well.
And where online did he post his threats?
I think that's a little germane to the investigation at this point, but at some point when we can release that, we'll release that as well.
And where is he being prosecuted?
Well, right now it's local charges in Columbia County.
Did you guys seize bomb-making equipment?
No, I just went over what was seized, but I'll go over it again. 3 firearms, multiple boxes of ammunition, 4 knives, some clothing that he was intent to wear, or we believe he was intent to wear for the attack, and then 5 digital devices.
Do you know how he got the firearms at this time? Or how they got the firearms?
That would be specific to the investigation at this point.
Do you know why the mall was the target?
I don't, other than it's in relative close proximity to Columbia County.
Is there any idea at this time that it was maybe religious or racial motivations?
We
as part of that?
have no indications of that.
Will he be prosecuted as an adult in Columbia County, and what's his age?
I'm not sure at this time I can speak to his age just because he is a juvenile, and certain things that are personal identifiers or indicators tend to be kept confidential, at least at the front end, as things are just beginning and getting processed. At this point, the plan is to handle the matter through the juvenile department, but that is simply because removal to adult court is a very rare and difficult process, and it may occur at some point, but right now that's not presently the plan.
And can you say what the allegations are in juvenile court?
I don't think I can, but they will be made public this afternoon. In fact, within a few minutes of this, as filings will be done at that time.
Are there adults or guardians, parents who are potentially being looked at as part of the investigation or could be facing charges? I do think that if your question is it possible? Of course it is possible, but I will say, yeah, I will say that the level of possibility is a little bit, as to use a phrase that was used a moment ago, germane to the investigation at this point. I will say that, of course, there are various aspects of this matter that are still being investigated. This all happened very quickly, and so, of course, additional information may come and develop as it does, and steps will be taken based on that information.
Was the juvenile a student in Columbia County currently?
Yes, I don't know necessarily that where, if he was being homeschooled or within the public school system at this time. I know that there have been some changes to his schooling just in the last few months, so that's why I'm a little unclear. But yes, he is a student age person within Columbia
Can you
County.
say high school, middle school, age?
Honestly, I don't know. Well, I do know age, but I mentioned earlier that's getting into a little bit more specifics about identifiers. But as far as where school, again, that's been changing, and I'm not sure at this time.
Where was he arrested?
At his home.
Oh,
How was the FBI notified of the plans?
We received a tip that there was information on an online chat platform, and then we were drawn to that threat information, and we were able to identify the subject through that.
What
Was
kind of
that-
firearms were seized?
I don't have the specifics on the firearms with me, but we can provide that to you afterwards.
You referenced seeing something, saying something. Was that tip from family, teachers? Was it somebody online that saw that and reported it to the FBI?
Yeah, I can't comment on exactly where the information came from, but one of the reasons we invited everybody here today and we wanted to talk about this is this is a great example of what we can do to protect the community when we partner with our local and state partners. And even though we're dealing with a minor in this case, I just think it shows that these threats are real. They're very much going on, and your law enforcement is working very, very hard to protect the community from these types of threats. So I think this is a great example of that team working together to eliminate what I believe was something that was imminent, that was going to happen.
How common is it for you to see this intense of a threat in our region from a minor?
In our region, I wouldn't say it's that common, but I would say these types of threats are worked across the country on a regular basis by our partners and by the FBI.
Is it typical someone would post a detailed threat before carrying it out, like on a group chat?
It is. I mean, there's a pathway to violence where if you kind of initially, folks will talk about it like they're joking. They'll talk about their plans. They'll get more specific about their plans. They'll discuss that with folks online, and then they'll start to make more detailed plans. They'll mobilize and start to acquire the materials that they need to execute their plans. And usually along the way, they're talking about it with somebody in their own community. And that's why we're kind of pointing out, usually along the way, when we go back and look at these things after something terrible happens, there's somebody along the way that picked up some of those breadcrumbs where if they had said something and shared it, we might have been able to get to that individual quicker before it turned into a violent attack.
Last question.
Was the group chat just limited to local Columbia County community, or was this like a national group chat?
I'd say it was broader than the community, but that's still part of the ongoing investigation.
Thank you.
Thank you.